Hello everyone, this is SamTheThomasFan1 with episode 5 of my Thomas and Friends Season 17 reviews. Steamie Stafford. Stafford becomes jealous of the steam engines because of all the noise they make, so he begins to act like them. If you haven't seen this episode, the link to it is in the description box. The episode starts out with Stafford and Gordon passing each other on the main line. The narrator explains that many engines on the island of Sodor are steam engines. Yeah, we can see that. He also explains that they run on coal and water. So he's telling us stuff we already know, unless you're a child and you've just begun watching the show. Like engines getting coal from the hopper and getting water from the water tower. But Stafford is an electric engine, so he doesn't need coal and water. He needs to have his battery charged instead. Why don't they just give him a battery that never runs out of charge? One day, Stafford was on his way to pick up his flatbeds of timber when Thomas went past. Thomas and Stafford said hello to each other. A group of children were standing on the bridge at Wadsworth. Wow, it's good to see that they still do scenes from the classics. They watched as Thomas went past. A boy says, "Here comes Thomas," and they call Thomas as he goes by under the bridge. Then a boy says, "Here comes Stafford," and they all say hello to Stafford, and Stafford says hello back. The children watched and listened as Stafford goes by, but they were puzzled because Thomas makes noises but Stafford can't. Stafford hears the children talking about that, and it made him very sad. He says that he doesn't make much noise because he only runs on batteries. He wishes he could make steamy sounds like the engines. Stafford arrives at the shunting yards. He had to collect the flatbeds of timber to take to the docks. Stafford listens to Thomas and Percy nearby as they make chopping sounds while shunting. He said if only he could make a chop and a puff. Stafford's flatbeds of timber were all ready, and who shunted those in we'll never know. Thomas sees Stafford looking sad and asks what the matter is. Stafford explains to Thomas that he knows he is an electric engine, but he wants to puff and chuff like a Steamie. As Percy reverses to the two engines, he suggests that maybe he and Thomas could help Stafford. Stafford asks could they, and Thomas replies with "of course," and tells him that they'll teach him how to puff and chuff. Thomas adds to tell Stafford to just follow him and Percy and they'll sound like a Steamie in no time. So Stafford raced along with Thomas and Percy. Thomas tells Stafford to listen to his chuff as he makes a chuffing sound with his wheels. Then he tells Stafford to try, but instead of making chuffing sounds with his wheels, Stafford makes chuffing sounds with his mouth. Thomas is all like, "Well, that's not what I had in mind, but we'll go with that." Then he tells Stafford to listen to Percy puffing. Percy makes puffing noises with his funnel. Percy tells Stafford to try, but instead of making puffing noises with his funnel since he hasn't got one, Stafford makes puffing sounds with his mouth instead. Percy says well done to Stafford and that he sounds just like a Steamie. Because he's making the noises with his mouth, he's not actually making Steamie noises at all, but it's better than nothing, I suppose. Stafford thanks Thomas and Percy and continues his way to the docks, and both Thomas and Percy agreed that Stafford sounded wonderful. Stafford makes puffing and chuffing noises with his mouth. Everyone loves hearing Stafford's new sounds. A zookeeper says that Stafford sounds just like a steam engine. This made Stafford really happy, and he calls himself Steamie Stafford. I actually like that nickname, no kidding. When Stafford arrives at Brendan Docks, the dock workers began to unload his timber. Then Henry arrived and he wheezed his steam. Stafford copies Henry's wheeze with his mouth, saying that's another sound Steamies make. He decides he'll make a sound like that too. Stafford raced back to the yard, making his new noises. Stafford says, "Steamie Stafford coming through," but then he met Gordon. Stafford honked his horn, and Gordon blew his whistle, and great camera angle on Gordon's whistle. Stafford realizes that Steamies have whistles, but he only has a horn. Then he thinks maybe he can make a whistle sound as well, and that's what he does. While making his steaming noises, Stafford sees children on the bridge ahead. The children love Stafford's new sounds. Stafford had never felt happier. Stafford went back to the yard to change his batteries. Then the Fat Controller came to see him. He tells him that Farmer McCall needs his help and he must go to his farm immediately, as he is just right for the job. Stafford was excited. He was coupled up to some large stock trucks and raced away as fast as he could. Stafford makes his sound as he rides along. He was soon at Farmer McCall's, but Stafford makes his whistle sound too long and scares Farmer McCall's lambs away. Farmer McCall was very upset and tells Stafford that he asked for him because he was a quiet engine and he wouldn't scare his lambs. He adds that now he doesn't know where they are. Hello, they're on the other side of the hill. You've just seen them go there. Stafford exclaims and apologizes to Farmer McCall and asks if there's something he can do to help, but Farmer McCall has already gone to look for his lambs. Stafford feels terrible. He then thinks maybe it's best being a quiet electric engine, and as he stands on the track thinking, he hears the lambs in the distance and realizes that Farmer McCall has gone the wrong way. So Stafford rolls quietly away to find Farmer McCall. Farmer McCall sees Stafford and runs to him. Stafford tells him that he can hear the lambs and he knows where they are. Farmer McCall says well done to Stafford and says they must find him as he climbs aboard his cab with his dog. So Stafford headed quietly towards the lambs and doesn't make a steamy sound. Farmer McCall sees his lambs and they stop. He was very pleased to find them as he climbs off and into the field where the lambs are, and soon they were safely on board Stafford's stock trucks. Stafford took the lambs to their new field. Farmer McCall tells Stafford that his lambs really like him because he is nice and quiet. So as the sun went down, Stafford raced happily back to his shed. Stafford stops next to Thomas and Percy, and Thomas asks Stafford what has happened to his popping and jutting, and Percy asks what has happened to his wheezing and wooing. Stafford replies by saying he is not making those sounds anymore because he is not Steamie Stafford, he is Quiet Stafford, the electric engine. Then he says shh and winks to the audience. So everything in this episode was alright, so I give this episode 3.5 stars out of 5. Well, that was my 5th and last episode of my Thomas and Friends Season 17 reviews, at least until the other new episodes coming out in the fall of 2013. So keep your eyes peeled for the episode dates and the reviews on those. I hope you enjoyed my review on Steamie Stafford. Thanks for listening and see you next time.